everyone, it's Debra Poneman, founder of Yes to Success, where we share knowledge and tools for you to live your ultimate life, ageless, anti-aging for your brain, your body, and your future, and the Awake Method, because it's definitely time for all of us to wake up. So, over the years, I've taught success principles to tens of thousands of people around the world. And one thing I know is that people want to be good leaders. And the same qualities you need to lead an international movement or company are the same qualities you need to lead your own business or your PTA or your church or your family. And there are many ways to be a good leader. One of my favorites is don't give people answers, ask them questions. Ask their opinions. Let them discover their own answers. Even let them help you with yours. And that applies to your kids. It generates self confidence, self acceptance, even self love. I did that as much as I could with my children, and they turned out to be very self confident individuals. And believe me, it wasn't easy not to give them the answers all the time. And the leaders of our current times and our future to be effective will be honest, open, imperfect, vulnerable, transparent, humble. Doesn't mean that they are not going to be strong and clear and powerful, but they will take responsibility for their own mistakes. They will lead by example. They'll have vision and really and truly care. They'll put their ego aside and look for what's not just good for them, but for the greater good of all, which might not necessarily be what's good for them as an individual. And you're already a leader. You became a leader as soon as you brought one customer into your business, or one employee, or one child into the world. Even if it's just that person looks to you for leadership. But if you want to more intentionally take on the mantle of leadership, move in that direction because the world needs good people like you to lead. I believe there's a quiet revolution taking place right now, and we are already the leaders of that revolution because it's a heart-centered revolution. And we're the ones who will bring the aspect of the heart into areas of business and politics and into our schools and our institutions, into every realm of endeavor. It's a revolution that will lead us into a future where problems will be solved by our hearts overruling our minds. It's a future where kindness will triumph over cunning and cooperation will change the face of competition. It's a future where people will enter not only personal interactions, but business interactions with the thought, not what's in it for me, but what's in it for us? How can I give? How can I serve? How can I win without anyone else losing? The leaders of this revolution will rely more on our intuition, and the more we listen to our intuition, the better it will serve us. And for the leaders of this revolution, success will depend on less on what we're doing and more on who we're being. And leaders will need to lead by example. If you're telling people to be one way or do one thing and you're being or doing the opposite, you may have been able to get away with that in the past, but no more. The energy on the planet has changed. And the people right now have vision like never before. They're like your kids. You don't think that they see exactly what's going on. You can't get away with anything these days. My daughter Deanna, on one of my Thursday night calls I was doing for my community, I was talking about true success. And I said, true success is first creating a silent foundation inside. And I said that there's nothing wrong with outer success, but if you don't first love yourself, it's like building a building without a foundation. And then I said, I mean, I love having a beautiful car and going on exotic vacations as much as the next one. And no sooner had the words come out of my mouth than in the upper right hand corner pops a message from my daughter. You hate exotic vacations. You think they're a waste of time. At least you didn't put that in the chat. Actually, I think she did. She probably did. Anyway, the first principle for leaders in our changing times, or the next principle, is to have a heart connection. You know the expression, people don't care what you know until they know that you care? That has never been as true as it is today. This is the age of connection, of not asking people to follow you until you're genuinely touched or you've genuinely touched their hearts. That doesn't mean that everyone needs to be your best friend and you're going to invite them over for a sleepover. But effective leadership is no longer cold or authoritative or distant. People don't want to feel like they're being used for you to reach your goals. If you want to lead a movement, discover what your people want and why, and tell them you're committed to them getting their why. Tell them you'll be their partner and you won't do it for them, but you will do it with them. You need to know what drives them. People have to feel like you really care. I'll tell you a story. I know those of you who took my communications course recently heard this story, but I'm going to tell it again. One of the reasons that Bill Clinton was a great leader and that everyone on his staff absolutely adored him is because he really cared about them. And my cousin Dan Poneman, my son's name is also Dan, but this is Daniel Poneman, who was a White House attorney. He told me this great story about Bill Clinton. He said that because he was a White House attorney, they would have this Christmas party, and all of the staff and all of the attorneys were invited. And he was talking to President Clinton, and he asked him if he would sign a holiday card to his favorite uncle, who happened to be my father-in-law, his favorite uncle Harold, who had just been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. So Bill Clinton said, of course, and he signed something really beautiful because Clinton was my father-in-law's hero. He loved Bill Clinton. So Clinton signs this card, and cousin Dan gave it to him. And I'm telling you, he loved that card. He cherished that card. The following year at the White House Christmas party, and again, there were hundreds of people there, all the staff, everybody. Bill Clinton sees my cousin Dan cross the room, makes a beeline to him, takes cousin Dan's hand, and says, "How's your Uncle Harold doing?" I mean, this is a guy who every day is dealing with heads of state and prime ministers and presidents of countries and donors and movie stars. And he remembered Dan's name and he remembered Dan's uncle's name. And that is one of the qualities of a great leader. And here's a hint: listen when people talk to you. People want to be heard. Don't pretend to listen, really listen. If President Clinton hadn't really listened, he wouldn't have remembered a year later my father in law's name and ask how he's doing. One more quality of good leaders: leaders empower others. I talked about this earlier, but a great leader is not someone who does everything for his or her people, but instead instills confidence in them that they could do it themselves. There are so many ways you can empower others and increase their confidence and self worth. The easiest way is to look for reasons to give lots of praise and celebrate even their smallest successes. Always look for what people are doing well instead of always pointing out what they're doing wrong. Again, try it with your kids or your grandchildren or your nieces or your nephews or any kids in your life. You probably heard of the bowling study where there were two groups of bowlers, and one group they played a couple games, and the games are videos, and then they told the first group, now look at the videos and look for what you did wrong so you know what not to do next time. And the second group was told, look for what you did right so you know what to do next time. And the results were scientific. They were statistically significant. The bowlers who looked at what they did right were many times more effective when they came back and they played than the ones who looked for what they did wrong. So help people to focus on what they're doing right and what they're doing great. And I'll end with a couple quotes because I think I gave you enough information for today. And the first quote is from, actually two quotes from John Maxwell. I'm going to give you three quotes. First one, John Maxwell, you know, he's a leadership expert. He said, "A leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way." And then he also said, to handle yourself, use your head. To handle others, use your heart. And then one last quote, and this is from our favorite friend, Anonymous. And Anonymous said, management is doing things right. Leadership is doing the right things. So that's it for this week. See ya in 7 days. Bye for now.